Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. I'm the man here that makes it all cook wood. Hey, do me a favor. I'm not even gonna go into that. This is just something I had to I'm just talking to myself. It's conversations that I had with myself because I don't have no one to share them with. And I wanted to circle back to a discussion that kind of jumped off a few weeks ago. I saw a Royce, the 5'9" clip on Instagram, and he was going at Lord Jamar for some comments Lord Jamar made on Eminem, and Eminem not being accepted in the hood, I think was the phrasing. And Royce obviously taking up for his guy from Detroit, and he was like, of course brothers rock with M. And then a couple days later, I think it was Buckshot from Black Moon and Duck Down and all of that. I think Buckshot came on and said, how is, I think the caption I saw on his situation or video or whatever it was how is rap or hip hop, how is that black music, or how do black people own that or something. I didn't even click on it because I didn't understand kind of where he was coming from. So I wanted to weigh in on it from my perspective, being here in the Midwest. And I'm not necessarily going to turn this into a black thing, black versus white thing, and vice versa. I got two reasons why, and I'm never in the hood, but just why Eminem, album wise, I've never bought an Eminem album. He's never really been in my rotation. One of the dopest dudes to ever pick up a mic and a pen and go into a booth, all of that. And I'm amazed at some of his innovation and creativity at this stage in the game and what he's doing, when I hear him with somebody like a Joyner Lucas. But two reasons. One is production, and then two, I always took offense, and Eminem drove me away from listening to urban radio back in the late 90s or the early aughts. I never understood how Eminem could get on the radio stations that I was listening to, but I couldn't hear Talib Kweli, or Black Star, or Mos Def, or any of the lyrical or the real hip hop backpack, however you want to classify those guys. Those guys could never get on those stations, and that pissed me off. And so I just quit listening to the radio back in the late 90s. I just was done with it. Because I used to get off in the morning. I worked third shift, and I would be driving home, and Eminem's song would come on every morning at like the same damn time. And I was like, this is not a why is his stories about his life and the trailer park situation and his issues with his mom and his baby's mama, why is his stories more important for me to be listening to than what Talib Kweli is talking about or Tribe Called Quest? And then I don't give a damn about Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears. And why is this being, thrown on me? So let me get to the production first. Eminem's the biggest songs, in my opinion, the stuff that the lead-off singles and whatnot, a lot of the stuff on the radio was it was basically like pop hip hop to me. He wasn't rapping over a lot of sampled stuff, although My Name is sampled. I can't remember the dude's name, but that's off of, I think, an older school R&B joint. But a lot of the stuff just wasn't sampled over, old sunk old soul and old funk records or jazz that I preferred my hip hop to be built off of. So that was one reason. I didn't really care for his sound. Now, I would go and somehow I would hear Eminem album from listening to a Partners or something, and I would hear some Eminem stuff that wasn't the stuff that was on the radio, and I'm like, damn, now this is banging. I like this. You know, this has that hip hop feel to it. I mean, you could take a lot of different sounding samples and music and put hip hop drums and hip hop elements to it, and it's a hip hop song in my opinion. And I am whatever I say I am, whatever that joint is. One of my favorite M records, and it was another M record on the Tunnel, the Funk Master Flex album or something. If I Get Locked Up Tonight, that joint was one of my favorites. But like I said, a lot of the stuff that was on Eminem that they tried to, that I felt like was really pushed and marketed to me, that just wasn't funk and soulful stuff. And then it wasn't talking about issues germane to my community or my experiences and what I was into, which takes nothing away from Eminem. So production. And then what did I say? Production. I forgot my own damn. This is when you don't write down notes. But then also, like I said, I was pissed off. You know, wanting my music to be accepted and wanting certain dudes in hip hop to win and be in the spotlight, knowing they were already being pushed aside by Jay-Z, by Big, by Nas, not even really Nas, but Big, Jay-Z, all the dudes out west, when the West was dominating radio. And then as the South started coming in with Outkast, like I said, I just didn't hear, it was just dudes I was rooting for that weren't getting that type of love. Like, I actually had to go put money down and buy their albums to hear to hear them. I couldn't just listen to them on music. So I took offense to that. And so, like I said, all the shock stuff and the shots that M was taking at some of these different celebrities and pop culture people, I had no interest in that. I just didn't. And so, and it kind of didn't occur to me a couple of years ago. I had the chance to interview Sky Zoo on my podcast, and who has an album coming out on September 20th with Pete Rock, exclusively produced by Pete Rock. But I asked Sky Zoo, and I kind of had an idea, but Sky Zoo crystallized it for me. I said, man, you talk about all this sports stuff in your raps and in your lyrics, and you talk about teams, and he's a huge Knicks fan. I said, I was just dumbfounded that I could I was watching ESPN, and what's my Action Bronson. I'm like, Action Bronson is on ESPN talking about sports and getting his airtime on ESPN. Here you are in New York, the biggest sports market in the country, and you're a very, thoughtful guy, intelligent lyrics, all of that. Like, how come you don't get that opportunity? And he was like, well, man, you got to look at Action Bronson has the same manager that Eminem has, and he just got different machinery behind him, and that's how that happens. And I was like, oh, okay. So again, that just kind of put me on to the fact that, radio programming and how I was hearing Eminem, who's a huge artist. I mean, dude, he's got one or two diamond selling albums, over 50 million records sold and all of that stuff. So a huge recording figure again. But like I said, if I'm listening to stuff, if I'm spending my time, my space somewhere on somebody's platform, and I can't hear what I want to hear, at time. It doesn't have to dominate what's being played, but at least sprinkle some in. And it was like I said, all of the dudes that I wanted to hear, they had to have a hit that was so it was so big that it just forced its, or it was so new that it forced its, and it was usually one of the songs that P. Diddy or Puffy would go and remix for one of his R&B groups. That's how dope it was. Puffy would take that hip hop song from artist A and go make Total sing over it, or a Faith remix, and something like that. So, like I said, man, those were the two main reasons why Eminem. I never bought no Eminem records. Was just because of the subject matter that he was talking about at times, and the beats that he was rapping over. But like I said, stuff that he had on his albums, like his album tracks, or when I would definitely the features on other people's albums. We all know the verse on 50's album, the verse on Renegade. When he went and did his thing, he's a monster, no doubt. But like I said, when it comes to an album, just the connection wasn't there. So I think, like I said, it's really not a white boy, black boy, all of that type of stuff, and some of the stuff that Lord Jamar been on for years. Eminem was just nobody that I ever really felt I had to go out and support and give money to. Because I knew other music buying listeners and fans were taking care of him. I had to put my $12.99 or my $13.99 to the Low End Theory, or to to Busta Rhymes' first album, or De La Soul's. I had to make sure the guys that I liked, Black Star, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, it was money that I had to give to those guys. Is why I could never just eagerly go throw my money and support behind an Eminem. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I kind of wanted to weigh in as a dude from the Midwest watching it all, which Royce the 5'9" is from is from Detroit, the Midwest. So he spoke on it. But I just didn't think this had to be an issue of white versus black per se. With that said, man, let me jump on off of here. My lunch is over with. Have a great day. Peace.